Hello fellow old schoolers, let's get ready for some more old school magic here. What we're about to see next is a pretty new thing. I had never done it before. It's a group match that we need to go over and that I will comment on in one go. This will also mean that we might have a bit of difficulties seeing the dice, and as we are pretty zoomed out, but we'll try to make it work here. And the context of this game is that it is the final of a tournament in Copenhagen that was sent to me. And the players, the top 3 players here, just decided they were running out of time and decided to play the final as a group match, with the winner of this match being the champion of this particular tournament. So we have 3 players here, and the rules for a group game like this has been tweaked a bit. Usually when you play a bunch of guys, it's really dangerous to attack, because it'll just open you up for attacks from all the other players, and it might just do you in. So those games tend to be rather defensive and static sometimes. So the way they treat this game is that everyone starts off with 40 life first of all, instead of the usual 20, and you can only attack the guy to the left of you. So once he's gone, you can attack the next guy in line. So you only need to worry about attacks from your right and taking out your opponent to the left. You can place spells on both your opponents here. So that will kind of reduce how many players can just gang up on you, as you can only be attacked by 1 player each time. It is worth to mention as well that there are no sideboards here, and it is a best of 1, so winner takes it all. So that's going to be really exciting. No margin for error here. The guys are playing for this. It is I think it's actually an unlimited mind twist that's been inked to resemble a beta. I think that's the first prize that they're fighting over here. It is also worth to mention here that none of these decks are built for group plays. They are all one-on-one decks. And it was a bit of a spontaneous decision here. So let's go over the decks and see if we can make any predictions out of this. Now, if you want to skip the deck presentations, I'll put down a timestamp below. You can just go to that particular timestamp for the match itself. And this is the first deck of the group play final here. It is a 5-colored robot deck, making use of all the restricted cards from all 5 colors. And it is almost fully powered with 4 Moxen and the blue power cards here. We also have 3 icy manipulators. Those will be great to make sure that we get some control out of this deck in a multiplayer format, or multiplayer game like this. I think those ices will be rather key, actually. We also have some very solid creatures here with both the Sushis and the Triskelions, and a single to Travis. That single Yimblade Tomb might be very efficient as well to draw into more cards. We have a quench of counter magic with a single counter spell and a mana drain here, and a couple of Swords to Plowshares, and 4 copy artifacts. Those would be great as well in a multiplayer game. There are some cards that are perhaps pretty hard to recognize. They have been altered by AS Alters from Denmark. I'm thinking about that Brain Geyser in the bottom left part of the deck, and there's also a balance in the bottom row. So even though this deck has been built for one-on-one matches, I think it has a pretty decent chance here. It is a solid, very defensive and control-ish deck that will do well in a multiplayer game, I think. One of its first opponents is the blue and red and black Counterburn. It is a classical tier 1 archetype here, with making use of a full playset of Flying Men and Serendipity Freaks, and it also has a couple of air elementals here, so a bit more aggro-oriented than what we usually see. It has the on-color Moxen and the blue power as well, and just a heck of a lot of burn. No, scratch that. It doesn't really have that much blue power, does it? But it makes use of those Red Blast main deck as well. That would be very nice for him, because both of his opponents are blue and have blue permanents as well. But all in all, I think this particular player has been rather large, because this is not a favorite matchup for a Counterburn deck like this. Counterburn decks are very good at rushing the other guy down and sort of counting to 20 pretty fast. But in this particular game, all the players will have 40 points of life. And that in itself will make it an uphill struggle for the Counterburn player to rush the opponent down. And on top of that, it has two opponents, so yeah, it will be difficult for it to overcome. But who knows? I mean, it is a very, very strong deck, packing plenty of removal and creatures and also countermeasures. Its only difficulties is that it doesn't have that much board presence. It will perhaps run out of steam. We'll see. The third player of this match is another robot deck, and it's called Angelic Robots. It's pretty original. It makes use of the angelic voices that gives all your white and artifact creatures +1/+1 if only you only use artifact or white creatures. And that will function very nicely with those 4 to traverse in the center there, as all the 1/1 tokens it will produce will be 2/2, or in essence it could be 3/3 as well. It also has the Triskelion and a couple of those Taunus Coffins. They can be used to snatch an opponent's creatures, but it can also be used to snatch your own creature. And then when you put it out again, it will have regenerated all its counters. So you can, in essence, just make Travis or Triskelions with a bunch of counters. So it is a combo piece with those robots. We also see a bunch of copy artifacts here that, like the 5-color robot deck, will be very key here. But it also makes use of those animate dead, and I imagine that will be rather strong as well in a multiplayer game like this, as it can just snatch creatures from all the other players' graveyards. To me, this matchup is all about staying power and reusing permanence, and I think this deck is very good at it. But on the other hand, this deck makes use of hate cards like City in a Bottle and the Abyss, and though these cards would be very efficient against the blue-red Counterburn deck, it will be dead draws against his robot opponent. Yeah, so we'll see how this entire thing plays out. It's very, very hard to call here. Remember, no sideboard and only a single round. Winner takes the mind twist. Let's get it on in this final. Okay, so this is the hand of the Counterburn player. Ooh, Ancestral Recall on an island, Counterspell, Strip Mine, Mistress Factory, and I think that is an air elemental at the back of his end, and another factory. And this is the 5-color robot deck, Library of Alexandria, City of Brass, Tundra, Volcanic Island, an Icy Manipulator, a copy artifact, and that altered Brain Geyser we saw in the deck picture before. The Mind Twist is at the center of the table there as the prize of this one match. And the final hand, Animate Dead, I think that's a balanced Time Walk, Sol Ring, Mox Sapphire, copy artifact, and a factory from the Angelic Robots deck at the top there. So who's on the play? That's Counterburn. He starts off with the factory, and there's the library. So pretty brutal that Counterburn doesn't even get a draw in this situation. I'm not sure he did. So we have a factory and a sapphire at the top here. Probably a Sol Ring coming up now. Yep, there we go. A bunch of mana turn 1. Solid starts from all players, and a copy artifact on the Sol Ring from Angelic Robots. Angelic Robots. So he's spent almost his entire hand. Now it's the draw on the Counterburn player. He has that Ancestral Recall. I think he needs to get it out ASAP before it gets countered. He doesn't though, that's a Badlands, and then attack him with the factory. So first blood to the Counterburn player. This is hardly surprising. It is the most aggressive deck, but I am surprised that he doesn't get that Ancestral Recall out ASAP. And I would be curious to see what his plan is here. So passing the turn to the 5-color robot deck here. Okay. Get something out. A copy artifact. Okay, trying to tweak the camera angle here. That's probably, yeah, it's either on the Sapphire or the Sol Ring. It's probably the Sol Ring, right? We'll see. Though a Sapphire will give him double blue mana at least. tapping 6 mana from the Angelic robots now. Is that a Trisk or Tetravus? That's a Tetravus. So that's a 4/4 artifact creature that can, in the next turn, it can split up into 4 1/1 flyers. We need that Ancestral out of the Counterburn deck right now. And I think the longer this game takes, the more issues the Counterburn deck will have. Okay, attacking another, yet again with the factory, that makes sense. It's trying to get the early aggression in there. He is against an active library of Alexandria, but remember, both players can actually remove that library, and I imagine they will. Further Stone coming out, and a Sapphire. And it was a Sol Ring. No, it was a Sol Ring. It was used to cast that Fellow Stone. So the copy artifacts is a Sol Ring. And now the 5-color robot deck has a double blue mana up, so he can actually counter if he wants to, and if able, passing the turn here. So yeah, it's going to be a bit risky to play the Ancestral Recall now from Counterburn. Now, Counterburn player is open for an attack with that factory, and there is a Tetravus on him. Coming over here for, it looks like 6 points of damage. 4 from the Tetravus and 2 for the factory, and there's a Time Walk. Okay, that's 12 points of damage in one go if he attacks again. Now, I'm not sure about the Counterburn player. He does play with Shatters, and I don't think that Tetravus has split up yet, has it? Oh, it might have. There is the dice on the side. Yeah, okay, it has split up to 4 1/1 creatures now. So that will make it a lot harder just to get rid of. Taking 6 points of damage again. Okay, here's the Ancestral Recall. Up against 2 double blue mana. Both opponents has a double blue mana, but luckily for Counterburn, it doesn't get countered. I wonder why he waited for so long. There must be a plan with it, but I'm not sure what it is. He is a bunch of cards ahead now. Or he's perhaps equal to the 5-color robot deck now. Okay, strip mining the library, there it goes. Needed that answer as fast as possible. Then passing the turn. Now he must keep back in order to block the factory with his own factory. I think a 3-player game like this is a bit of a dilemma, because the more pressure you put on your opponent, the less pressure he'll put on his opponent, and he will have an easier time pressuring you. So, if that makes sense, it's like a chain reaction. Tetravus coming out from the 5-color robot deck here, and okay, we're just taking a flight with the camera here, really trying to get another angle. I wonder what's going on. Okay, but there's a counter spell under Tetravus, so that 5-color robot deck has no Tetravus now. I'm not sure about that pick either. If he had made the Tetravus get out, it would actually hold his own. The Counterburns. It will hold the attack away from the Counterburn player, because there would be a threat of another Tetravus. But as he countered that Tetravus, the Angelic robot deck can now attack with impunity, as there is no attack. No one attacking him. Oh, animating the Tetravus here. Even more pressure on the Counterburn player. Oh, I really feel for him. He has a very, very efficient deck, but it is the wrong tool for a matchup like this. Needs to do 80 points of damage on his opponent and have enough strong creatures to defend himself, and Counterburn usually doesn't have that. He does have those air elementals, I suppose, so I suppose he needs one of them. Another factory on the hand here. But I don't know if it makes any sense, but yeah, the more the Counterburn player pressures his target, the less his target can pressure the guy that wants to kill the Counterburn player. So I think if I were him, I don't know. I would let the 5-color robot deck get some stuff out, just to balance the entire board. Sonic blasting the undead to Travis here. Good pick. Otherwise, that would be a bunch of damage next turn. Okay, the first Icy Manipulator coming out of the 5-color robot player here. And then passing the turn to Angelic robots. He's playing something rather big here. Tapping 6 mana. Really giving it a good think. Okay, it's a Brain Geyser. So Brain Geyser for 4 cards here. Any counter spells coming up? Yep, there's a counter spell. Pretty key. From the 5-color robots, and then he comes over for 4 points of damage on the blue and red Counterburn deck here. So the Counterburn deck must have taken about at least 16 points of damage at this point, including those 2 from his own Sonic Blast. So he needs to think on his feet, think fast here. City of Brass coming out, so yeah. I suppose that can be tapped by the Icy Manipulator, but I doubt that the 5-color robot player will try to put pressure on the Counterburn player. He wants him to stay alive for as long as possible. Oh, okay, both factories are coming over for 4 points of damage. I wonder why he didn't tap one of them with his Icy. He can do that. The 5-color robot player at the bottom left, he could have tapped one of the factories. He might have done so. No, he actually chooses to, he uses it now to tap an island just to stop the other guy from being able to counter him. Oh, there's a Brain Geyser of his own. And look at that, the Angelic Voices at the top left there, he's tapped out, so there are no ways for the other guys to counter him. So really pulling ahead now, the 5-color robot deck here with that Brain Geyser. And he did have the library a bunch of rounds in the earlier game, so he is well ahead. He is tapped out now, though. So passing the turn, and Triskelion coming out, and another 4 points of damage on the blue-red Counterburn player. Just a bunch of robots from the Angelic robots player. If he could get down one of those Angelic Voices, man, it would be 4 2/2 flyers here. And his Triskelion would be a 5/5. It is a pretty nifty check, actually. Yeah, so, now what can the Counterburn player do here? Looks like the 5-color robot player is really just saving up a bunch of cards going in for a final push later on, while the Counterburn player is getting slapped around by the other robot player. Okay, refreshments coming in here. And that's old school, right? Always get a cold beer while you play. Okay, tapping the City of Brass here. And then, that's good. He got the 3rd beer. I was worried that he wouldn't get any. Okay, untapping the City of Brass again here. So, okay, now tapping the factory. Okay, coming over for another attack. I suppose there was an opening. Now tapping the Sea of Brass. Chain Lightning on the dice of the 5-color robot player. But I suppose it makes sense. I mean, the Counterburn player, he needs to keep the pressure up. He can't wait. He needs to just keep on going in order to try and take the other guy out before the more controlish elements of the other two decks will suffocate him. So, but it is really, really an uphill struggle for our poor Counterburn player here, I think. But we'll see. I mean, I might have to eat my words. I just wish that he played with Control Magic's main deck in this situation, but they don't usually do that. Ooh, another IC coming out here. Slowly gaining control over the board. I think the 5-color robot player is just waiting for the other guy to kill the Counterburn player and just solidifying his own board presence here. He is ahead in cards, and he has those 2 IC manipulators out. So now he can just keep those factories off his back while tapping them with his IC manipulators before the other guy can attack. So yeah, the Angelic robot deck, he needs to get through the blue-red Counterburn player before he can even start to attack the 5-color robot player. So he just full on steam ahead, attacking here. And even if the 5-color robot deck, even if he has threats in his hand, it might not be a good idea to cast him. He just needs to sit back with his ICs and let the other guy finish with the Counterburn player. If he puts down an attacker, it might hold the other guy back. Okay, but here he disenchances one of his ICs. Makes sense. It's a good target to kill. Okay, but he can tap something before that. So yeah, he taps the Underground Sea of the Angelic robot deck just to keep him out of blue mana here. Perhaps to avoid power sinks and spell blasts. So now it's the Counterburn player's turn. Can we get an air elemental? Some big fat beater here. That would be great for him. Looks like a Serendipity Freed or something. A Wheel of Fortune, okay. That's pretty brutal. Yeah, okay, it gets mana drained. I mean, oh, but it gets countered right back. But I was just about to say that this will be the big equalizer of this game, because the 5-color robot player, he was so much ahead in cards at this point, and now it's equalized. As the 5-color robot player, he was the only guy who got his Brain Geyser out, and he had that in active library. So yeah, pretty nice for the rest of the board. Not so nice for him though. And I suppose a Counterburn player, he needs to get some cards in hand in order to try to mitigate the threat of the Angelic robot player at this point. Factory coming out of the 5-color robot player here. Looks like he's changing tactics here, trying to put threats out of his own, now that his IC was removed and his card advantage has been annulled. Copying, I wonder if he copies the Triskelion or the Tetralis. Both will be viable options, obviously. Could actually copy his IC Manipulator as well, but I don't think he did. There is that dice on the copy artifact, so it must be a Triskelion or a Tetralis. Then passing the turn. Yeah, so the Angelic robot player, he gathers all the 1/1 flyers into a 4/4 creature. Again, I imagine it is just so that he can't be shot down by the Triskelion. Otherwise, the Trisk could just start shooting up the 1/1 flyers. Now they're safe. In true Transformer style, they have gathered into a big robot, and now they can't be shot down by that Triskelion, as it's a 4/4 now. Ancestor Recall from Angelic robots here. getting armed to the teeth. And now the Angelic robot taps both of his soul rings and gets out an IC manipulator of his own. So there will be an IC war at this point. It's all about tapping the other guy's ICs before it's your turn then. Tundra coming out. I wonder if he'll attack the Counterburn player now. Yeah, he will. Okay, just never relenting with the attacks. Attacking with the Triskelion and the Tetravus, and the Counterburn player, he just activates a factory to get to try and block the Triskelion. And the Counterburn player is down to 6 life here. So if this block doesn't work, he's out. It is a final. They're really giving it a good think here. Okay, so choosing to tap the factory just before it blocks and getting in with both robots, killing the Counterburn player outright. So he's the first to go here. Yeah, as predicted, I suppose. Now it's up to the 2 robot decks to duke it out. The question: tapping the other guy's City of Brass in his end step in this duel it is now. So doing a point of damage, single point of damage to the other guy. He's at 37 points of life, and now moving in to remove his artifacts here, disenchanting the Tetravus. So he plays this correctly, I think, just waiting with all his offensive power until the Counterburn player is gone. Here's the Sushi coming out, and the other guy is tapped out in order to kill off the Counterburn player. I think if I were to make these rules, you should gain like 5 or 6 life if you make a kill, something like that. He is very open now. But I mean, it's part of the game, right? Another copy artifact coming out here. So really a robot army here. And he copies a Triskelion. So if all 3 are Triskelions, that's 9 points of damage on the table here. Now coming over with 2 robots and a factory, doing 10 points of damage in one go. And with those, the cannons of the Triskelion, he can actually do 19 if he wants to, but chooses to hold back with the cannons, passing the turn. And then in his upkeep, tapping his Triskelion with the 5-color robot deck's IC here. Makes sense. Yeah, so he is actually the Angelic robot player. He is behind, it seems. Just getting trampled here by all the robots, but yeah. He does have, at least he has a factory and a Triskelion and an IC manipulator. And we know that he plays with a bunch of anime deaths. He needs to work fast. There's a bunch of damage coming in every turn from all those robots. What? Okay, so he taps his City of Brass here, doing a single point of damage on the 5-color robot player, but now he's open to attack himself, using that IC for that. Putting down that Taurus Coffin that I talked about in the deck tech, so I suppose he can actually try to pump up his own Triskelion, or he can exile one of the other guy's creatures. Okay, he uses... Okay, so yeah, he takes his own Trisk into the coffin, and it gets its 3 counters right back. Oh, what's that? Is that a balance? That is a brutal punch. And that's why he exiled his own Trisk. There's now 0 creatures left on the board on his side, as the other one is exiled. And the balance will just wipe the board clean. Now the other guy can't shoot with all guns with those Trisks, but it is Such a brutal punch here. Yeah, so I suppose he does 9 points of damage to the other guy. He can't even shoot his Trisk. Yeah, coming in here. 9 points of damage, really hurting him. But I mean, now the game is open again. Just before this balance, it looked like such a sure thing for the 5-color robot deck. But now, yeah, now everything is up in the air again. 2 cards in the hand of the 5-color robot player, and I think about 4 cards on the hand of the Angelic. No, he's discarding lands. There's 2 cards on his hand as well. Yeah, obviously after the balance they are at equal cards here. So an ice on each side, a couple of factories on each side. The trouble is, there's that Triskelion that'll get out of the coffin at the earliest convenience here. So he attacks with both factories, trying to get in. He might as well. He has an opening now, and now passing the turn to Angelic Robots here. Really, it's a much closer final here than it looked just a few moments ago. Now the Trisk is out of the coffin, being fully stacked up in counters. Comes in tapped though, I didn't know that. 3rd factory coming out of the Angelic Robots. I mean, every draw is crucial at this point. Angelic Robots being down to 14 points of life. Copy Artifact. Another Trisk, I imagine. Yep, now there's 2 Trisks. Really some nice cards he got into here with the factory and the Triskelion. Giving it a good think. Yeah, I suppose every move is crucial at this point. There's only this one game, and the winner takes it all. There is no second place prize here. And no second match after this one. So attacking, looks like he's attacking with a single factory, keeping a couple of factories and the recently summoned Triskelion, or the copy artifact I mean, keeping them back at the moment as blockers. I suppose he could have attacked with all his factories. I mean, he has that Trisk, and he also has an Icy Manipulator to defend himself with. But he's playing it really safe here. In his upkeep, tapping one of the factories in the other guy's upkeep, thus rendering it useless in the coming attack step. Now the 5-color robot player, he needs to draw something crucial here. Like, if he, I don't think he played with Dust to Dust. That would be very nice for him. I suppose another balance here would be okay. Problem is the other guy can just exile his Trisk, his own Trisk, if there's a balance coming out. So it looks like he passes the turn, and at his end step, the other guy puts a Trisk into the coffin. Get some new, get some new counters on it, but as he does that, he can now Sword to Plowshare the other Trisk, because the coffin has been used. So just snatching an opening and punching in with that Sword to Plowshare, trying to equalize the board state a bit here with that sword from 5-color robot. The Trisk shoots the guy before it goes out to farm. Now, if he hadn't tapped his Tawnor's Coffin, he could have used it as a response to the Sword to Plowshares, thus saving the Triskelion. So the 5-color robot deck only had this opening to get his Sword to Plowshare out, just when he tapped the coffin. Okay, to Travis, drawing into it to Travis here. He just keeps on getting the good stuff. Purely in top deck mode at this point. Passing the turn back to the 5-color robot, who seems slowly to be losing ground at this point. He needs to draw a bit more lucky here. He's up against a Travis and a Triskelion with about 9 counters on it and 3 factories. and they have the same amount of ICs. Okay, he's playing something here. Demonic Tutor, I suppose that was as good a card draw as any. So is it balance time, I wonder? Not much of a library left, actually, when you think about it. Okay, no, sorry. He's looking through the graveyard, obviously. I don't think he plays with a recall, though. Perhaps a time twister. Could be that he wants to draw into an entirely new hand. What would you pick here? I mean, he could take a balance, but I mean, the Trisk will shoot him up for 9 points of damage, and there are still those 3 factories. But it's the best thing I can think of at the moment. It will get rid of all 3 creatures against him, or both of the creatures against him, I mean. And he has 0 cards in hand after the balance has been cast. No, Ancestral Recall. Fair enough, that's also a good pick. Let's see what he drew into here. Disenchanting some of them. What? Oh yeah, he disenchants. Should disenchant Saturnus Coffin, actually. It must be the first to go. Oh yeah, that's why the balance wasn't a good pick, because he could just exile one of the creatures. So if the 5-color robot deck shoots one of the creatures, he will just exile it with the coffin. So instead, he's disenchanting the coffin directly. And the Angelic robot, he's using his coffin as a fast effect to get one of the robots in. It will still destroy the coffin, but the robot will get another 3 counters. And as a response, he's also tapping the 5-color robot's Icy Manipulator, who in response taps the City of Brass of the Angelic robot just to give him a point of damage. Pretty confusing here. So let's see, Disenchant on the stack, trying to kill the coffin. The coffin takes in the Travis, gets going to the graveyard. The Travis gets out and gets another 3 counters on it. And then both ICs are tapped and a single point of damage. And there's the balance. Such a brutal Ancestral Recall, just getting both the Disenchant and the balance out there. Resetting the game one more time. Now, if he hadn't disenchanted that coffin before that, then the Angelic robot could have saved one of those big critters with his coffin, putting it in exile before the balance took effect, but he can't do that now. So all the creatures die. The Triskelion probably shoots the 5-color robot decks for 9 points of damage with all those counters. And it drawing immediately into another to Travis here. Really, really a good draw again. But I mean, both players having some solid draws here. That Ancestral drawing into a Disenchant and a balance in the same Ancestral. Really about the most important cards he could draw here. Passing the turn right back. Being in top deck mode once again. Hanging on a knife's edge. Balancing on a knife's edge this game. What did he draw into? A Triskelion. Okay, so we have a Triskelion on one side and a Travis on the other. 2 Icy Manipulators, 1 on each side. And 3 factories versus 2 factories. Passing the turn, and in the end step of the 5-color robot deck, he taps his Icy Manipulator, which makes sense. Now, if he uses the Icy, it won't even matter, because there'll be an untap phase on the Angelic robot. But he can tap his City of Brass, doing a point of damage to him if he wants to. Doesn't choose to, though. He would rather have his mana ready and with his blocking factories. He is up against 3 attacking factories, an Icy Manipulator, and a Travis. Let's see. Angelic robot can tap his Triskelion and then attack with it to Travis and one of the factories. And then he'll force a trade between the factories and do 4 points of damage. But it is a bit of a pickle here, because then he'll be open for a counterattack. Okay, here's the card draw first. Let's see what he chooses. Also depends on what he draws, of course. Disenchant, very good pick. Disenchanting the Triskelion. And yeah, he gets shot for 3. I think he's at something like 13 points of life here. The Angelic robot. So what to do? No Triskelion now. I think I would attack with a factory and a Travis at this point. If he lets the factory in, I'll just pump it. If he blocks, I'll also pump it. But I don't know. I don't think he should use the icy though. He needs that to be ahead in the icy tap war here. Okay, that's what he does. He attacks with a single factory and a Travis. Now, there's a real dilemma on the 5-color robot here. I think he needs to block. Oh, he double blocks it. Good stuff. And then double pumps. Ah, very good stuff. So forces a trade with that. We're now getting another icy manipulator down. Okay. In his end step, he'll lose one of the icies to the other guy's icy. So, yeah, and at the end step of the 5-color robot player, the Angelic robot player taps his factory with his icy, then untaps all his stuff, draws a card. It's just a scrub land though. He has split his Travis out into 4 1/1 flyers. Now the 5-color robot deck is tapping both his factories with his ices, and a 1/1 Travis comes over, doing a single point of damage. Remember, those 3 tokens have summoning sickness, so they need to wait a turn until they can attack. Passing the turn back to the 5-color robot player here. Let's see what he can make happen here. Tapping the copy artifact to tap the other guy's City of Brass, doing a point of damage to him, and then counter-attacking with his Mistress Factory. No. Putting it back. There are those 1/1 counters, and there's also an untapped icy to block him. Okay, he counter-attacks here. Now the other guy can double block it with 2 Travis counters if he wants to. He can also tap the factory. Nope, he takes the damage, going down to 10 points of life here. That is a bit odd that he would take damage like that when he's so low in life. Okay, he changes it here, going back to 12 points of life. Yeah, he taps the Mistress Factory with his icy instead. So he didn't take any damage from the factory. Changing the play. So then the 5-color robot player, it looks like he's activating the other icy. I think he's tapping one of the tokens here. Getting rid of that, and there's a time walk for another turn. Okay, critical. As it would make the Angelic robot player open for another attack. Let's see what he gets here. It would have been nice to have gotten out of robot before that time walk. Another factory though. Now he does have the 5-color robot deck. He does have 2 icy manipulators, but he's against a swarm of Travis counters here. There are 4 1/1 flyers and 2 factories, so the 2 icies can't keep them all back. So he attacks with a factory again and pumps it for 3/3. Putting the Angelic robot deck down to 9 points of life here. And then passing the turn. Every draw is crucial here. Let's see what he got. Says what? No. Yeah, okay. So he attacks with 4 1/1 flyers, doing 4 points of damage here. His factories were tapped by the ice manipulators on the side of the 5-color robot deck here. Passing the turn right back to the 5-color robot player. Now he needs to draw something here. He takes 4 points of damage next turn and he's at 3 life. Oh, what's this? A fireball. Just fireball on the other guy. There's a mana drain. Oh, he tried to just save it in the nick of time here, fireballing it. But the crucial mana drain at the final round here, just blocking that fireball. Securing the victory for Angelic Robots in the end. This next card was a Demonic Tutor. Now, yeah, because he will mana drain the fireball, and in the next round he'll get in with too many robots and do the kill. So congratulations for this very, very close final. I guess the Angelic Robot really made it a home run here, taking out first the Counterburn player, and then smashing through that, and in a slow, grueling match, balancing his way back into the game and taking the 5-color robot deck out. A very, very good final here. So congratulations, and thank you guys for following this final in Copenhagen. Here, this is the playgroup of Copenhagen Juggernauts, I think, that was behind this. Thank you guys for sending me this final match of this local tournament over there. I hope after this COVID-19 that we'll be able to meet up and play with you guys. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.